This thing with Derrick Rose is really pissing me off. And I need to talk about it. So, I'm gonna do a video. Allen Iverson said it best, right? They love you when you're on top. When you have a few setbacks or a few injuries, you all of a sudden are tradable and expendable. And I'm starting to notice that that's become the cool thing to do these days as far as it compares to Derrick Rose. We don't need to run down the injuries. We all know that Derrick Rose has had a hard couple of years. But now all of a sudden that he's saying things that people don't want to hear. He's being criticized. His intelligence is being insulted by saying that he shouldn't be anywhere near a microphone. And now all of a sudden, with people like LeBron James signing one-year contracts, making over $120 million, Derrick Rose isn't entitled to speak on looking forward to his contract year. That does not mean he wants to leave. Doesn't mean that at all. No such thing. All he said was that he was looking forward to it. He made it very clear that he wanted to stay in Chicago and bring a championship to this city. But of course, you have those people that will sit there and tell you that he's not a leader. Yeah, he might not be a vocal leader. Yeah, we all know the Chicago Bulls might not have that leader in that locker room. That doesn't mean that he's not focused on winning. And as far as him becoming expendable goes, who the hell are you going to get to replace Derrick Rose, injuries and all, with the Chicago Bulls? Because last time I checked, before Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah came to the Chicago Bulls, we weren't very good. Alright? I remember the days of Nocioni and Tyrus Thomas, for God's sake. So don't sit there and tell me that Derrick Rose is expendable, because it's bullshit and everybody knows it. The only difference in this whole thing is that it is Derrick Rose. Nobody's talking about how many games Dwayne Wade missed due to injury or Kevin Durant due to injury. But because it's Derrick Rose, and because he's the one being singled out right now, as if he went into practice yesterday and asked to get crushed in the eye. Because it's Derrick Rose, it's a big media story that he's having surgery for an orbital fracture in his eye. I'm sorry, I'd like to see any one of y'all go and get hit in the eye by somebody bigger than you, because that's most likely what happened. I don't know, I wasn't there, but I'm assuming he was running through a hard pick, got a little bit of the elbow. Alright? Listen. Derrick Rose is the youngest MVP in NBA history. The first time Chicago has had an MVP since 1998. And you people want to excoriate him and call him fragile and glass because he's had the misfortune of having injuries? You shouldn't wish an injury on anybody. The fact of the matter is this. What's most likely going to be the case is he's going to have the surgery today, sit out of practice a couple weeks, get back in 2 more, maybe miss a little bit of the preseason. He might not miss preseason at all. Might put a mask on him. And we've seen what it does for guys like Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and most famously, one of my guys, Richard Hamilton. The man wore it the rest of his career when there was no need. It gives superpowers, y'all. I ain't kidding. That aside, I am a lifelong Chicago Bulls fan. And just because somebody has had the misfortune of going through injuries and rehab does not mean I'm going to turn my back on them and say that they should trade him. And if you call yourself a Chicago Bulls fan and you feel that way, leave the Chicago Bulls fan base, because we don't need people like you. We already got the media tearing them down as it is. We don't need the Chicago fan base ripping into them too. And all of these radio hosts making these snide jokes about Derrick Rose. Never played a game in the NBA in your life. You have no idea what he goes through to keep his body up so he can go out there and play for us because he doesn't need the money. I mean, let's just call it what it is, man. I'm sick of it. It needs to stop, and it needs to stop right now. Comment below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe, and I'll come back with more. I want to know what y'all think. Holla if you hear me.